This is Vanilla Ice.
Folks, this is Joe Diffie.
What's up, everybody? It's Dustin Lynch.
You're listening.
And you're listening to the Dolly McCarthy Show.
To my friend, the Dolly McCarthy Show.
To the Dolly McCarthy Show. Holla and pop your collar.
Dolly McCarthy Show. We're kicking off season 9 of the good show, the Dolly McCarthy Show, right here on Facebook Live. We have been bringing you this show for 9 years on WCKG in Chicago, Tuiville Internet Radio, Blog Talk Radio, Rivet Radio Network in Chicago. But we're doing things a little differently now. Everything is different this year because of COVID, right, Rachel?
Right, 100%.
So I am back with season 9. We took for the first time the summer off and delayed the show just a tad, but we are so excited. I'm so excited to be back. I'm so excited to start season 9 with one of my newer favorite authors. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've never picked up a Rachel Hollis book until this weekend. True story, folks, but now I'm a big fan. And I always was a fan, but because through my daughters, I have, as you all know, listening to this show, I have 5 kids and 4 daughters, and on the Christmas list, girl, stop apologizing, girl, wash your face, those popped up on the Christmas list. And so I've gotten them for my girls. They love the books. And when they heard the new book was coming out, they were thrilled, and I got an invitation to interview Rachel, and I said to my daughters, what do you think? And they were like, can we be there? Rachel, they're big fans of yours.
I love that.
Yeah. When I read this book, the other books, I'll be honest, I didn't read because, Rachel, I'm 51. I mean, I could have written those books, I said to my girls.
Right.
But not true. Not entirely true. But then when I got this book, didn't see that coming. I took the weekend to be alone, mother of 5. And I said, guys, I'm going up to the lake. I'm going to be alone and I'm going to read this book. And I absolutely love it. I finished it cover to cover. It's an easy read for those of you that are.
Yeah, it's very easy. Yeah.
It's an easy read, but, and there was so many things in here that I said, oh, I could have wrote that. I agree. Yeah, Rachel, you're right on. And then you got me on some topics in here and pointedly guilt. So we'll dive into that. But let me give you a proper introduction, Rachel Hollis, because you are an amazing woman. She has shared her personal stories with my children, my young daughters that are teenagers, and turned them into teachable moments, helping this single mom out for sure. Thank you, Rachel, for that. Her work over the last 15 years has focused on changing the way women approach their fears. She teaches her followers how to take on their insecurities and turn them into empowering moments and stand up for their lives. Rachel's work reminds us all that you, the person, you are, and the version you are today at this very moment is enough. And that's what I love about it. You're worth fighting for, and you were made for more. And she's one of us. She's totally one of my favorite gals now, not just my daughters. So I really, really am thrilled to kick off season 9 with a person like Rachel Hollis. So she's back now with a new book, and this is it. I've been talking about this for like the last week, everybody. Didn't see that coming. How many of you have not seen that coming? Like, things just hit you in the head. And talks about putting your life back together when your world falls apart. From listening to the show, my world has fallen apart. 2 divorces, layoffs. We're always going to have curveballs, but it's how you deal with them. And I love her perspective and the way she speaks to young women and even this old gal today. So welcome to the show, Rachel. That was a long introduction. I apologize. But
thank you. No, I'm thrilled to be here, and I feel like we have to at least acknowledge, Dolly, that I did not know this was on camera. So I am literally in pajamas. I am not wearing a bra, which is why the camera's from here up. And I have no makeup on. So if you are watching, you're like, why does Dolly look flawless and Rachel looks like she barely tried? I thought it was audio only. So have patience and grace with me today.
Okay. You look amazing without any makeup.
Thank you.
Just
No,
like
I
the
just want
beautiful
people
cover.
to understand that if I knew, I would have like brought the effort for you this morning.
And I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened there. I said Facebook
Don't
Live. I
worry.
don't know.
No. You're fine. I
It just
I
goes
want
to
you to
show.
know I would have covered up this
It just
skin
goes to
if I
show.
knew I was talking to you like this.
And it just goes to show how very real you are. And that's what we're going to be, how we're going to be on this show. And I'm sure you are with all your other interviews. So talk about real. Let's dive right in. Right off the bat, you call bullshit. And I love that. You put the word right out there, girl.
Right.
And this is the year we call bullshit.
Right.
Did I say that? Yes.
Yeah. I think that when you're going through something difficult, which everybody is, I don't care where you live in the world, in 2020, all of us have walked through some kind of change, big life change that you have to acknowledge. And you have to acknowledge the parts of that that are painful. For some of us, things are more obvious, the loss of someone we love, or a breakup, or we lost our jobs, or we lost our business. But for other people, it could be something that from an outsider's perspective might not seem like that big of a deal, but to you, it is deeply painful. Like the example that I give in the book is how many people got married on Zoom this year, right? And yes, it's amazing you got married and that's so special, but for people who were planning this huge life moment for themselves, you have to mourn what you thought things were going to be. And so the very beginning of the book is you allowing yourself to acknowledge when things are hard and calling them hard, not pretending to make other people feel more comfortable, not kind of covering it up, but allowing yourself to feel the discomfort of whatever it is that you're walking through.
Absolutely. That's for sure. And I should say this really quickly. I didn't say it in the beginning. Did I mention that she's twice a #1 New York Times bestselling author? There's a whole slew of women out there like my age and older that are now becoming more and more of your fans because we're picking up the books that our daughters already read and we're going, wow, this woman is interesting and she's fantastic and she's right on. So let me just say that if you haven't read her other two, well, you've written several books, not just those, but those other 2 bestsellers, New York Times bestsellers, Girl, Wash Your Face and Girl, Stop Apologizing. You all know that. You always start your sentences like I do. Well, I'm sorry, but, you know, so those are my next 2 books to read, Rachel. So Rachel Hollis is joining us now for season 9 on the Dolly McCarthy Show. The book, it's a short read, but powerful, very powerful, no doubt. You called this a crash book too. I hope you have more crash books, Rachel, because this was fantastic.
Thank you. Well, I actually had already written the book that was meant to come out this year. So that book there was Girl, Wash Your Face, Girl, Stop Apologizing. And this was the last book in that sort of series called Girl, What the Health. And it's all about women and body image and the way we perceive ourselves. And I was editing that book. And as I was editing it, I tend to write with a lot of humor. I'm very irreverent. I'm very silly. As much as I'm trying to teach, I'm also trying to make you laugh so that you stay engaged and want to learn the lessons. And as I was editing that, I thought, this is tone deaf. This does not feel like what we're walking through right now, because I was doing that at the beginning of quarantine. And so it just felt so wrong that I stopped editing that and asked my publisher, hey, if I could write something really fast that would specifically speak to what we're all walking through, is that something we might be able to pull out into the world? Because the thing is, Dolly, nobody has the answers for how to deal with a global pandemic in 2020. But
really,
there are answers for how to deal with the side effects. How do you handle anxiety? How do you handle fear? How do you handle stress? How do you handle grief? And so this book, we call it a small book filled with big feelings. So this book is a collection of tactical things that you can do if you are experiencing those side effects right now.
And Rachel, when you were editing the book during COVID, I heard that you were also going through a divorce. So how did you navigate that new life experience while you were writing this book? Did that alter any of the verbiage and the chapters or the messages that you wanted to put out there?
Yeah, so typically all I am ever doing in my work is telling you, the reader, what worked for me. So I don't think for one second that what worked for me will work for everybody. But I believe that if I share how I got to a solution, then either the solution will help you, or the process of what I took to get there might help you develop your own. So I wrote the first draft of this book very much as like, I have the answers, I'm coaching you through, here are some things that you can do. And then when I was in the editing process was when my marriage ended. And I found myself in this really crazy situation I'd never been in before, which was, am I able to still teach or write when I'm inside of the thing I'm trying to teach and write about? So this book has a really unique duality of having been written both inside and outside of pain.
And a lot of good humor in between.
I hope so. Well, because
So
sometimes life is so hard, it's hilarious. I don't know if you've ever, like, the amount of times in this divorce process that I have laughed my face off, because if I don't laugh, I'm going to cry. And I've cried enough. And so I'm just going to laugh about the current level of awful. And then someday we're going to get to a place where hopefully those things aren't happening anymore.
Yeah. Well, I love page 17. I'm reading this book and I'm into it. And I'm like, yes, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And then I get to page 17 where you say, I don't do drugs, but damn wish I was a stoner during March of 2020. I mean, just crack me up.
Right. Right. I did. I mean, it was,
gotta laugh.
so stressful. Right. And the thing that's the craziest to me about COVID is that we are nowhere near the end of this process. I really think that everyone's like, oh, first it was like, we just got to get through the election. And then it was like, now it's like, oh, I just got to get through the end of 2020. Like, let's just get to 2021. Once we're in 2021, then life is going to be good again. No, this is your life. It's not like you're going to snap your fingers and magically when the clock strikes midnight, suddenly all the things that were hard about 2020 go away. This is the life that you have, and you have to be willing to show up inside what it is. And back in March, I was terrified. I was scared for my grandparents. I was scared for our family. I was scared for my business. All of these things, just like so many people were. And at the beginning, I did numb out. Honestly, Dolly, I had a lot of vodka. I drank a lot of vodka the first few weeks in quarantine, because I was like, what in the world? Like, how are we even supposed to deal with this? But there are a lot of people who are still numbing out, right? And what scares me about that is that we are nowhere near. If today we had a cure, the economic part of this, that the recession, all of that is still going to be so long lasting that you have to be able to find a way to sort of begin to pull your life back together in the midst of what's happening, because it's not going away anytime soon.
Absolutely. Rachel, we're getting a lot of comments from people on Facebook Live. So I'm going to do some shout outs to George, Eddie, a lot of guys tuning in, which is surprising. And one guy even said, let's see, he said, well, I just lost it. It was about, wow, Rachel is so young, but so full of knowledge. So thanks guys for tuning in to this interview.
Yeah, thank you. I said I have like 5 dudes in my community, so I'll take it.
You know, so one of the things you talked about, acknowledging your pain, acknowledging you're pissed off. You didn't get the wedding. It was a Zoom wedding, and you didn't get that sparkler send off, as you mentioned. That cracked me up too in the book when you said that. So what I loved about the book is then you take people through, you kind of hold, the way I saw it as a mom, holding my hand, my daughter's hands, guiding them on some tools, some things some ideas that you have and things that you did, how you put it in practice today, tomorrow, and then you said forever. So the book is kind of divided up into what you can do today. So can you take us through really quickly? I know we don't have that much time, but today, tomorrow, and forever, some advice for those listening right now. And thanks everybody
Right.
for tuning in on Facebook
Yeah.
Live.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah. So for me, I never ever want to just talk about hard things. I never want to just talk about problems. I'm only ever doing work where I'm trying to give you tactical advice for how to move forward. And like I said, maybe you'll read my advice and you're like, that, I don't know that that'll work for me. But just me explaining to you the process of how I got there, I hope can be helpful as well. So the book is divided into 3 parts. And like you said, it's a very easy read. And something that I think is important is for people to understand, I typically write for everybody. This book is not for everybody. This book is for people who are going through a hard season or have gone through something hard and feel like they're still carrying the baggage of that thing. So I actually was talking to someone this morning for an interview, and she said, man, I love your books, but this is not the place that I'm in. Like, I'm not, she's like, my life's better than it's ever been. And I'm not, and I was like, oh my gosh, then this is not the book for you. And that's okay, because I would rather create something that helps people who are in a hard season than create something that just makes the masses, sort of checks that box. So if you are ready to make change, if you are ready to pull your life back together, if you're ready, because if you're not, this is also not the book for you. But if you're ready, it starts with things that you can do right now today, things that you can do tomorrow, and then things you do forever. The tools to rebuild. How do you start from scratch? How do you change your perspective? How do you shift your mindset? Really, really practical advice for what to do next.
And great reminders for those of us that have been through some of those life experiences, but we just keep living and moving on, and we don't see other things happening coming our way.
Right.
Like a second divorce for some of us. Rachel, you'll get through that and you'll come out better. But just beware, that doesn't mean smooth sailing with the mysteries of men and relationships.
Right.
But there's a lot more to come. And so I love that your book resonated with me, and for years my daughters. And so thanks for giving them that knowledge that I try to give them. But really, this book is just really speaks for them, or help them see what I have been telling them all along. So thanks for the help there. But yeah, this book I don't think is for everyone at every moment in time. But it is a fantastic handbook.
Yeah.
You when you need it, when you have
Definitely.
those curveballs thrown your way, that's for sure. One final thing, and then because there's a lot of negative Nellies out there, Rachel. I think that there are so many more positive things to say, obviously, about you and your books, but then there's those negative Nellies out there, and I saw some of those YouTubers, attacking you in your book, and everybody has that, where not just you have it on a bigger scale, of course, because you're a best-selling author, but sometimes you believe in something and you put that out there, and there's people that are going to jump on you and not think you're real, or going to hate on you. How did you handle that during this? Because this book probably, would you say this one you got a little bit more of that? And how did you navigate?
Absolutely. Honestly, I don't consume the things that people say about me, good or bad. I stopped consuming any of that years ago. I stopped reading good reviews. I stopped reading bad reviews, because that's not why I create. That's not why I put things out in the world. And I also understand that in order to do this work, and this is true for you, this is true for anybody watching, if you want to pursue the dreams of your heart, if you want to aim for something bigger, if you have a goal that you are trying to get to, you are going to have to be okay with other people not liking that. That is the price of admission. It's the price of admission. And if you can't handle negative feedback, then I guess this isn't for you, because there is no way to do this work in the world that we live inside of and not have people dislike it. And that's fine. If I lived my life caring what other people think, I would not have any of the success that I have. I wouldn't have built a business. I wouldn't have books or my podcast. I wouldn't do any of these things, because someone has hated something that I've created since the beginning. I've been doing this for 15 years. So I guess what I would say to those of you who feel the sort of negative feedback from other people is you find a way to navigate around that. Is that you need to stop going on social yourself so that you don't see what they're saying? Do you need to get out of your own comments and DMs? What do you need to do to put your head down and do the work? Do your work. Keep your eyes on your paper. Focus on your race. Because at the end of the day, there are going to be thousands of people in the world who all they do is tear down other people's creations. But I freaking promise you that they will not get a millimeter as far as those of us who focus on creation instead of tearing down other people's creations.
Fantastic. Rachel, amazing. You are amazing. That is fantastic. Really.
Oh, Lordy, hold on. I lost. Wait, I lost you for a second. Sorry, I had a call coming in.
Is this the first interview you've done without any makeup on? But by the way, I will say this.
No, I honestly, I'm on social all the time without makeup because I feel like if you're going to see me with makeup, you should also see me without so that you don't have any illusions about what's happening under there.
Well, you look the same as the makeup on the cover of your book. You look amazing. And it's so nice to have you. And I know you're real, even with makeup on, but the raw, real, beautiful you. So thank you so much. Sorry for any miscommunication there.
No worries.
It's been so wonderful to have you on the show. Again, thank you. As this mama wants to point out, my 4 daughters just absolutely love your books. I told them to chime in, but they're e-learning today. So they can't sign in. You're online with their classes, but they'll watch this later. And, but I know there's a lot of moms out there watching, and guys too. Thanks so much. You heard it right here on the Dolly McCarthy Show. The book is called Didn't See That Coming, Putting Life Back Together When Your World Falls Apart. And that's just
thank you, Dolly. Thank you so much for the time.
It's been great talking to you. Rachel Hollis, thank you again for stopping by. Best to you in your new book, and we look forward to your next book. I don't care if it's a crash book, again, like this, like a crash book is a quick book that gets out there. I love that. Just get it out there, pound the typewriter, and get us some more Rachel words and pearls of wisdom. Keep going, girl.
Thank you. Thanks. Have a good week.
We love it. All right, my best to you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for this special edition of the Dolly McCarthy Show. We'll see you next time. And be good. Be good to each other. Take care of each other. So long now. Bye-bye.